You're listening to the Roofing Success Podcast, a show created to inspire roofing contractors to achieve optimal success in their roofing businesses. I'm the host, Jim Moline, the co-author of the book, Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors, How to Triple Your Sales and Turn Your Roofing Website into an Online Lead Generation Machine. I'm also the co-founder of Roofer Marketers, the digital marketing agency for the roofing industry. On each episode, I'll be sitting down with industry leaders to talk about their processes, the lessons they've learned, and how to find success in roofing. All right, welcome to another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. Today's guest is an entrepreneur, founder of Renown Construction and Inc. 5000 fastest growing company 2 years in a row. He's an amazing speaker, coach, and sales trainer with his company, Today's Change Agent, and he's passionate about building sustainable businesses and growing people. He was also a guest on episode 1 of the Roofing Success Podcast, so we really appreciate this gentleman, and we're so happy to have him back to talk about his new best-selling book, Success Habits of Super Achievers. Adam Buttorff. Adam, well, thanks for joining us again. We really appreciate it, man. Tell us a little bit about the new book and what you have going on.
Well, Jim, it's an honor to be here. So it's exciting, right? And so to put together the thoughts and processes that have led to success I've got, and to be honest with you, to be in the book is an incredible honor, because if you look at some of the major thought leaders that are in the book, you're looking at Darren Hardy, Les Brown, Brian Tracy, Mark Victor Hansen, who is Chicken Soup for the Soul. The guy has written over 1 billion books. He's going to on record getting 1 billion books. Not quite there, but he sold more books than anybody else on the planet. You know, and just to be a part of that group was pretty very blessed, right?
That's
I
amazing,
feel like
man.
a very small pea in a big pond.
Yeah.
And so I'm part of a mastermind group that kind of put this deal together and wanted to share what's worked for us. And to be honest, I've learned so much by these other thought leaders and entrepreneurs and musicians to help me improve myself and my business. And that's our heart, right? Is to care, love, and share what we've done well, because we want other people to have the same things we do.
Definitely. And I mean, just to speak to that, the names of the other co-authors of this book are, man, you have made it, right? Like, well, not that we'll talk about your story in there.
I haven't made it,
and how you really never arrive, right? How you really never arrive, but at the same time, man, it must be it must be an amazing. I'm sure it's an amazing experience to be in the same group and in the same, have co-authored this book. And so, one of the things, the core of this book is Success Habits of Super Achievers, right? So, how do you feel that habits determine success?
I like it what Jim Rome said. He said, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day, while failure is nothing more than a few errors in judgment repeated every day. See, most people think this idea of success in this way. I'm waiting for my ship to come in, or that lottery ticket. Did you realize, specifically on the lottery, that it reports that over 70% of people who win the lottery are bankrupt within a few years?
Yep.
Not have lost the money. They're bankrupt, meaning they're worse off than before they ever got the money. And why is that? I mean, Jim, you think, well, heck, that wouldn't happen to me. Actually, because they did not have the daily disciplines, the mindset, the growth to handle what they got. And so success is all about what you do every day. It determines everything. It's that small little trajectory changes. Another example, if we're going to fly to the moon, well, if that trajectory is off by just even a degree, when we start on heading there, you won't even come close to the same galaxy in the end. That's how those minor changes, those daily disciplines affect every area of our life.
Definitely. So what are you doing every day? What are your success habits?
So here are some things I had to realize for me, because it's a little bit different for everybody. That's why this has got over 80 thought leaders, because you may not identify or resonate with me, but you're going to resonate with several in the book, right? Based on their professions, based on their personalities, how they're wired. And so for me, I realized, okay, I know that what I focus on expands and grows. It's scientific proven fact. You've probably heard of this. It's called the reticular activating system, the RAS. It's the filter for our mind. And so like a filter for a pool filters out contaminants, or an air filter for your house filters out things you don't want to breathe in. The filter for our mind, we program it and tell us what we want it to filter. We have total control of that. And once I realized that, I said, okay, what do I want to filter out and what I want to focus on and grow on? Another example, you're in a big crowd, bunch of people. You kind of tune out the noise unless someone says your name. It's like, what? I heard my name. Why is that? Because I filtered to respond to that. Same aspect for this. So when I understood that, then I took an approach saying, okay, what am I focusing on? Because what I focus on, I filter everything out, and all I see is that. So it grows and gets more and more. And say, okay, I gotta get rid of negative things in my life, because if I focus on, think about, read, listen to negative things, that's all I'm going to see in life, and that's not going to help me or improve me. So one of the things I had to do was cut out the news, right? Because it's always been said that it's rarely ever any good news, but plenty of bad news. So that was one of the first steps I took, is let's cut out the daily bad news. I need to focus on positives in my life. A life of gratitude. What am I thankful for? What am I growing and getting better at? And so what I did was this. So I said, okay, how do I start my day and finish my day? Because that's going to determine my success factors. Start and finish. Because how you start dictates how you go all day long. And then as you finish, you can see how well you did and ways to improve tomorrow. Did you know this, that on a aircraft carrier ship, the big aircraft carriers in the ocean, right? Big ocean, they got airplanes landing on a ship in the ocean, right? Billions of dollars out there. Do you know what the average age of the person on one of those ships is? The average age of the actual person on the ship?
22.
19.
19.
I wouldn't let a 19-year-old drive my truck,
Yeah.
much less. I'm like, what? The reason they don't have accidents or issues or problems is because they constantly do a thing called debrief. Every incident, every event, everything they do, hey, how do we do? How can we make it better? What was a potential error we could have fixed and avoided? That's the finishing the day at the end, right? That's the analyzing your day in the evening. That's the importance of that. So I said, okay, let's implement that in my life. Because listen, if that's the case out there, then how much better can I be for myself and my business and my life? So we start with the morning routine. How do you start your day off? You have to look at, am I a morning person? Am I not? And then start structuring it that way. Me, I'm a morning person. I wake up bright and eerie. I'm like ready to go from a dead sleep till I can have a deep conversation right away. That's how I'm wired. So for me, I jump up. The first thing I want to do is, okay, morning routine, quiet time, thinking time, mental time. I want to say, okay, how did I do yesterday? Did I feel good about yesterday? What corrections can I make today? That's the first thing I start off with. Then I take quiet time to reflect. I'll listen to music or just think, because so much we are bombarded nonstop with ads and this and that and pointing us in directions. Very few times do we stop and just think and be. What comes to us? What resonates with us? Right? My quiet time. And for me, it's spending time with God. That's a big aspect for me. Spend time with whoever you feel like. But for me, it's God. What is the creator of the universe talking to me about? What can I get better at? What can I grow in? What do I need to see? Then it's about, let's write down what I'm thankful for, or even at least think about what I'm thankful for. Because once again, I know this, what I think about grows and expands. So if I think about things I'm thankful for, then all of a sudden, man, I start seeing good things everywhere. It's amazing. I'm telling you, if I could help anybody with anything, do that for 1 week straight. Start your day and finish your day about good things, positive things you're thinking about, things you're thankful for, and you will start seeing more of it. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It really is.
It really is. It really is. The things that you focus your mind on really change. How much time, one of the things, let's go back to one of the things. One of the things that you
Yep.
mentioned was that you're honest with be honest with yourself. If you're a morning person or not, be honest with that in yourself. And I think that a lot of people, the early bird gets the worm. You got to be up early. And especially being in construction, you're up. You got to get up. Jobs are starting. We got to get supply materials to the job sites. We got to, right there's things that are happening in the morning, but at least being honest with yourself about who you are and what type of person you are. Expand on that a little bit more.
Yeah. So meaning, like, I have 6 different things that structure my morning. So one of those is exercising my body, right? Getting active. And so when I say being honest with yourself, some people, like, when they wake up and they're slow moving, right? So let's structure it, not what you think other people you want to be like, but who you are. And meaning, if I'm not clear of thought first thing in the morning, I don't want to jump up first thing in the morning and then start reading or trying to analyze my day or improve because I'm not there mentally,
Yeah.
right? So maybe it's you wake up, get that cup of coffee or Joe or whatever gets you going, and then exercise, getting a little bit of food in you and exercise. Now the endorphins are kicking in, the body's ready to go. And then after that, that's when you take your time to, hey, let's spend some quiet time. Let's exercise. Not I exercise physically, but now I want to exercise my mind. I want to read something that helps me grow, improves me, makes me think outside the box. Because what's amazing, Jim, is we all know it's common sense. If you feed your body Twinkies and ding dongs all day long, you're not going to feel real good.
That's right.
But yet we don't apply that same concept to our brain, our minds. What we feed this unbelievable tool we have in our mind, that's the results we'll get. So if we feed it crap all the time, that's about all you're going to get out of it.
Definitely.
So that being said, it's not just cutting out the negative. You got to put good stuff in there.
Put the positive in. Yeah.
So I read good books. Some people are readers. Some people are, hey, maybe it's talking about how you're wired. I'm a handheld physical book guy. If you're not that, they got them on Kindle, right? You can do it on technology, or you can listen to them on Audible. Something to feed yourself good things.
That's what I do, is Audible. I'm an Audible person. The physical book I don't do it, but I could put that Audible in and just listen. And my Audible catalog is extensive, right? Like, and
exactly.
And it's awesome.
And there's aspects of doing all of that. So that's how you're wired. That's how you kind of learn. I have Audible books too. I don't really learn as well as if I would a handbook where I can write notes and put things in it, but doesn't mean I don't use the Audible to help reinforce things.
Yes.
So that being said, is understand how you're wired and structure be honest with yourself, realistic. And I like what you said, early bird gets the worm. Well, what if you're not an early person? Maybe you get energized at 10 o'clock at night, right? Yeah. Maybe that's how you're wired. Then let's start structuring your life and routine based on how you're wired. So the evening routine and the morning routine. And your morning routine may start at 9 or 10 o'clock based on getting the best production out of you.
Yeah.
As far as structuring your day. And for me, I'm a bed early. I'm a up early. That's how I'm wired. But don't feel guilty if you're not. Understand that. I can't stress that enough. Understand you and what best follows you and resonates with you. So as far as that morning routine, so I'm analyzing my day. I'm looking at things. How did I do? Not just beat myself up. I'm not doing that. I'm saying, how can I improve, get better? Here's what I did really well. I give myself the okay to say, this is what you did really well yesterday. Because I also want to point something else out to you, Jim. Most people don't realize the key to your own self-worth and your own confidence is this, something that no one can take away from you. You do the things that you know you should do, and you do them, you will have confidence beyond all measure that nobody can take away. And this is the start of that, right? Getting that confidence. I mean, think about it. I'll give you a great example. Exercise. That's the thing. January 1st, exercise. Everybody's exercising, eating better. Yeah. If you set a plan in place and you stick to it, how does it make you feel?
Great.
Unbelievable.
Amazing. Yeah.
Amazing. You're like, I can run through walls. I can do anything I want to do. Then you're like, I can handle more challenges. I can accomplish more. These are things it's not just the success habits, but what it produces, how it makes you feel about you. That's ultimately, because what you believe about you will dictate everything in life. And the success habits kind of start that foundation for you, the proverbial foundation of the house of your life.
So I mentor other digital marketing agency owners. And one of the things that I see a lot of people getting stuck on is, let's talk about like that exercise routine a little bit, right? So you start this exercise routine and a lot of it, like you had mentioned, you're looking at other people, right? You're looking at other people and you're looking at, wow, man, John runs 5 miles every morning. I got to run 5 miles every morning. And when you get out there and you're not able to run 5 miles every morning, then you start pulling back from that and getting away from that habit. What do you think? What is your thought on slowly building these habits instead of just jumping in?
Absolutely. And that's the number one reason that when you look at New Year's resolutions, they fail, is because what they do is they put this list that's as long as my arm that I'm going to start doing tomorrow and I'm going to keep forever, that you haven't been doing any of them.
Yep.
That's unrealistic. Once again, understand who you are. If you're listen, some people when they run, they're like gazelles, right? They just flow. And it's like, man, it's beautiful to watch. Man, I'm like an ox when I run. There's nothing smooth or great about it at all. Okay. And I'm like, how do people enjoy this? Play a sport, I will do it all day long. But just to run, I'm not wired for it. I do it occasionally, but for me to set a goal of running every day, I'm gonna fail. I just am. But if it is to start running, that you don't mind running, just like the motivation, I like what Zig Ziglar used to do. He called it the mailbox method. He said this. He said, listen, I'm going to go out and run today. And I'm going to run to my neighbor's mailbox. And that's it today. Tomorrow, I'm going to run to the next neighbor's mailbox. And that's it. Realistic, attainable goals that will build confidence in you is how you accomplish these things. Don't jump off the cliff saying I'm going to run 5 miles every day when you haven't been running at all. Yeah. You're destined to failure because you're comparing. And I will tell you, there's an old saying that says comparison is the thief of happiness and joy. Right? The reason these thought leaders are in this book and the reason we put this out here is because we wanted people that you could resonate with. There's over 80 people that you can resonate with, understand, that you can feel a connection with on what they do and how they do it. There's going to be somebody, if not 10 of those people in there that you're like, yes, and pick a few things here and there. But you're right, Jim. Start slow. Build up. Right? Success doesn't happen overnight. It is a process of growing you.
Definitely. Knowing yourself, right? Like, sorry for cutting you off. Go ahead.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. Like, and what I like to talk about, when you start not achieving that, sometimes you might have to break it down into chunks, right?
Yes.
So it's okay to go back. I don't know, to chunk that goal up, right?
To readjust.
Hey, in the next 90 days, my goal is this. Then the next 90 days, I can have a higher goal and a higher goal and a higher goal. So
you're right. And people put this big goal out, right? We'll use the running example again. I'm going to run a marathon.
Yeah.
Next month, or whenever, right? So it's like, whoa, how about, or they say, I'm going to work out 5 days a week. And after 3 weeks, you're like, well, I only worked out twice this week. I feel like a failure.
Yes.
And they focus on the failing part. That's the key difference the daily decisions are making. That's why I talk about focusing on the good things. Hey, you worked out 3 days this week. How amazing is that? Last year, you didn't work out at all.
That's right.
Dude, stick with 3 days a week if that's what works for you. And that, man, back it off from 5 to 3 and be consistent with it. And celebrate that. Right? It's celebrating the small victories. Once again, daily motivation. That's how people accomplish all these goals. I love it when Tiger Woods came on the scene years ago and they're like, oh, he's an overnight success. I'm like, man, that boy's been golfing since he was 3 years old. There's nothing overnight about it.
Nothing. There's never an overnight, right?
No.
It's always a lot of work. So getting back to your daily activities. So we got a little off track there, but back to your daily activities, right? Let's get back into those. So
So morning routines. So number one is analyzing the yesterday, the positives, what I did well, because that's going to encourage me and drive me for today, the morning. Quiet time, reflecting and just thankful, reminding myself of the things to be thankful for. All right. What I have, who loves me, who I share life with, the friends I have, the health I have, all those things I take for granted, that when I think about it across the world and globe, I think I am incredibly blessed. By thinking that way, it transforms my attitude, how I handle situations. Then I exercise my body because, man, it feels good. It kicks endorphins. We all know the benefit of exercise. The key with exercise for me is I used to, the gym aspect. I don't do that anymore. It's more stuff around the house, and occasionally I'll go for a run. Now, I change it up, right? You got to understand yourself, what works for you, and figure that out and make that work. Then I exercise my mind, reading something positive, encouraging myself, whether it be books or the Bible or whatever, encouraging my mind to think about good, positive things. Then I list out, I feel like I'm like, okay, I get a good breakfast. I mean, they always say it's the most important meal of the day. It's kind of how you start your day off, right? Feed yourself something good. And with that aspect, I would encourage everyone, give yourself some grace, right? I run the lot. I do this 5 days a week. I'm very consistent. On the weekends, I let myself go. You've got to relax and have some fun sometimes. And so after I get the good breakfast, here's one key that launches my day. What are the 3 most important things I can do today? Before my day starts, before the emails start flying in and calls and texts and all kinds of craziness, what are the 3 most important things I need to accomplish today? I want to write them down, put it on a sticky note, put it in my phone. Sometimes I'll email it to myself just so it'll be in my email chain that I'll see later in the day. And I can remind myself, hey, I know you got busy with other things. Have you gotten these 3 most important things you said you got to do done today? And what's amazing is by focusing on that, 9 times out of 10, you're going to accomplish 2 out of 3, if not all 3, every day. And what I talked about earlier, Jim, what builds that confidence and self-worth? What builds that things nobody can take from you?
Action, completing those tasks and goals.
Yes.
Over and over.
That's the key to success, is doing the things we know we should do, and we actually do them. And then I finish the day off with an evening routine as I wind the day down, right? Hey, how did I do today? Kind of rate myself 1 to 10. And I'm generous, right? I'm like, you were 7 today, or an 8 today, or some days, man, you were a 9 today. Way to knock it out of the park. Praises and growth areas. Hey, I did really good on this. I need to grow a little bit better in this. I was too distracted today. I was too pulled off of this. I was putting out too many fires. Whatever that was, right? Praises and growth areas. The biggest thing is, what did I accomplish today? I need to know that, because that builds my confidence and self-worth. I'm like, yep, I accomplished this and this and this. All right. What went well today? What did I do well today? Or what went well in my business, relationships, personally? What went well today? And are there any priorities that I can think of that I need to focus on tomorrow?
So you're building that top 3 list for tomorrow.
Yes, because sometimes you can't think about it in the morning.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, you might have a few. And so guess what? I am going to sleep remembering the good things I accomplished, the praises and growth areas, and what went well today. How do you think I'm sleeping?
Wonderfully.
Which
soundly.
Which is another key aspect to success, right?
Yeah.
Because taking care of yourself, if you're not well rested, well fed, exercise body, you can't think straight and you can't accomplish as much as you want to. So for me, those were the kind of the key differentiators, if you will, or the main aspects of the successful routines.
That's great. That's great. And do you think you could have multiple top 3s, or can you have a top 3 for your health or your relationships, and then a top three for your business? Or do you think it should be just, hey, this is your top three, and you could have like one of those could be part of your health, one of those could be your relationship? What do you think in that regard?
So I would tell you this is, I have a tendency to take too much on, right? So I could have 50 priorities.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, this is about understanding yourself. For me, I needed 3, and I needed to make one of them not about business. That was for me. That's how I'm wired. That's how I understand. So, and I agree with you. You need priorities, not just business-wise, personal-wise, health-wise. You need relationship-wise. Okay. You need all those areas: finances, personal. So, Ziegler has this thing called the Wheel of Life, and I'm a firm believer, and I think it's fantastic. Your family, right? How are you connecting to your family? Because if you're the most successful person in the world, but you have no family to share it with, what's the point, right? How is your family? Then also, how are you spiritually? Whatever that spiritually looks for you, connect with something more than yourself, right? How are you in health-wise? Listen, we can't trade these bodies in. This is all we get. So right. Success is a big part of taking care of yourself. And also think about this too, because in life and in business, when you look at others, if you see someone that's severely overweight or severely out of shape, all right, if they're not willing to take care of themselves, think about it. How much do we think they're going to take care of them?
Yeah. It's not going to happen. It's very, very unlikely.
Very true. It's very unlikely. And so that's an aspect of, hey, I want to take care of me, not just for myself, because you get the big benefit from it, but also from the benefit of your team, your environment, your family, and also those of the people that you want to help outside of you.
Definitely. And so that, all of this leads to growth, right? Like this is just leading to growth personally, in your business, health-wise. All of this leads to growth. And I like what you say. It's like growth is something that you never arrive. Explain that a little bit.
Yeah. So growth is not something you ever arrive at, because as you'll find in the book, and with any very successful person, typically they don't say, I've arrived and I'm done, because there's only 2 aspects of life. You're either growing or you're dying. The coasting part, like, I'm coasting. Can you coast uphill?
No.
No, there's no such thing as coasting uphill. There's only coasting downhill. And so if you're coasting, then you're coasting downhill, and that's a scary thing.
Yeah.
Right?
I love that analogy. That's great.
It's just things we think about. I'm like, I want to bike ride with my wife yesterday. I'm thinking, we're coasting down this hill. This is awesome. This is a great bike ride, until you have the ride back up the hill to come back up it.
That's right.
And it gets a little more challenging.
That's right.
When it comes to growth, I feel like I have this methodology of this is, we all should be learners, because guess what? Think about the things that you've learned and implemented in your life. Doesn't it excite you?
Oh yeah.
Doesn't it fire you up? Because if you're not learning or growing in anything, that's kind of boring. It's the mundane. It's incredibly boring. And so it actually brings excitement in life. There's a new enthusiasm that you have for life and business and relationships, because you're learning and growing. It's like those, I call them aha moments, right? Look in your past like, man, that was a big aha moment. So I have kids. I have coming up on 4 teenagers. And when I talk to them, teenagers think they know it all. And it's interesting. I said, so I have to relate it back to this. So I have a 9th grader. I said, listen, if you're in 9th grade, do you think you could teach the 6th grader some things? Do you think you know a little bit more than the 6th grader does about people dynamics and school and how things work out? Do you think you teach them a few things, right? Oh, of course I can. Well, yeah. And that's obvious to them. So do you think I know a little bit more than you do, based on the fact that I'm way past that 9th grade level or 6th grade level, right? And they're like, Oh, and that aspect of that's the exciting part. If we stayed, I like what Jim Rohn says, there's a reason they made first grade desks so small because they don't want you in there for 4 or 5 years. Okay. Yeah, they really only want you in there for a year. And that's plenty enough time. It's time to grow and get better and move on. Same with our lives. We want to grow and get better and move on because that brings excitement. That brings everything's rejuvenated. Right? You're like, man, why did I know this years ago? And I wish I had known. How many times we said in our life this, Jim? If only I'd have known that. Or I wish I would have known that. Or hear the phrase this, hindsight, man, that hindsight, that's 2020 for sure.
Uh-huh. That's growth speaking to you, right?
That is growth.
Yeah.
And don't ever be opposed to growth. We're always growing and learning. It's never an arrival part. The arrival part's when I'm dead. And okay, I don't need to grow anymore.
So what are some tips at I guess around, how do you focus on your growth or what things, how do you measure your growth maybe, or how do you look at that?
Great question. So I've always known this, and is if you want to really learn something, teach it. Because it forces you to really learn it because you have to teach it. So most people who are listening to this are in the business and have staff of some sort or subs or anybody that they have influence. We all have influence in others. So start teaching the things you're learning. Start sharing the things you're learning. That's how you start growing. And then you start ask questions on measurements. And part of that measurement is being realistic with yourself, whether it's business. So here's a great aspect for business. Everybody likes that really sexy top line number, right? I've got this number, this millions, right? That's the super sexy number. Everybody loves to know. Everybody brags about that one, right? Until you realize I've known companies that are doing $30 to $40 million and lost money.
Yeah.
I'd rather do $1 million and make myself $200,000-$300,000 than do 30 million and not make any. So that being said is put what we call KPIs, key performance indicators, right? We do it with sales. That's an easy thing. Sales, what are their close ratios? What are their sit down ratios? What are their presentation ratios? What are their upsells? What percentage are they? How are they handling rejection? So all of those aspects, you're putting measurements in place. Put the same measurements in place for yourself. How are you doing, for example? And when you're talking about yourself, it's every area. It's physical, it's mental, it's how you're growing your team, how you're helping your team accomplish some things they want to accomplish. Man, let me tell you what, the reason this has helped me so much is because I've implemented it for my team. I've encouraged them to do that. Not what I want them to do, but I ask them, hey, what are some things you'd like to improve, get better at? Let's measure those. A super easy example. Every January, because it's the fitness, time of year, January, New Year's resolutions. In my office, we always do a fitness challenge because it resonates with everybody. It's okay. What's a fitness thing that you'd like to accomplish? And we just put it out to everybody and they tell us. And one of my guys says, I want to do a 15-minute plank. You know what that is? That's when they hold the body straight and it's like this. And I'm thinking, have you lost your mind?
That's a long
this
time.
Guy's he's in his 50s. He's in pretty good shape, but I'm thinking, there's no way. But he put a very practical, this is what I'll accomplish. I said, okay, then let's put it down. Now I know the end result. Now we got to do measurements. It's got to be by this date, and you got to start hitting these goals. And so he broke it down. It's the whole idea of how to eat an elephant, one bite at a time. But you got to have the end in mind. You start with the end result, and then you work it backwards. What do you want to accomplish on these goals, on this routine, on these aspects? What do you want to accomplish? And then you build it backwards to today. And what's it going to take today, this week, this month, this quarter, and then this year is how I break down those goals. And I'll be darned if by the end of the month, he wasn't doing a 15-minute plank and shocked us all. We actually had a wager in the office and I lost because I didn't think I could do it.
Yeah, that's a long plank for sure. That is definitely a long plank.
But it's
But
but what I want to talk about is, do you understand what it made him feel
yeah,
that his boss would care enough about him to accomplish one of his goals, that we put routines in place, morning and evening routines in place for him to accomplish that goal, and how he felt about himself accomplishing that goal. Do you know that that was 3 years ago? This January will be 3 years ago. And to this day, it's still one of his proudest moments. He talks about a lot, that he accomplished that big goal we helped him accomplish. And he feels good and confident about that.
yeah.
So that being said, is to answer your question, how do you put these KPIs, or how do you measure it? It's really pretty simple. Don't overcomplicate it, right? First of all, when I first started this, like most people, you have this list of 30 things you want to do in the mornings. I'm like, nope, understand yourself, understand how you're wired. Let's start with one. I want to do one every morning and get consistent with that for a week. When I did that, I'm like, ooh, I feel really good. Now I'm going to add two. The second one, that's realistic. I can add that every morning. Do that for a week or two. All right, now, because we don't want to overwhelm ourselves. We tend to do too much, too fast, and it doesn't work. And there's where failure comes in play. And then secondarily, talking about failure, Jim, I want to really iterate this is, once again, comparison's the thief of happiness. It's not about comparing that you want to be like somebody else, Steve Jobs or, Bezos or any of that. It's about, okay, here's the ideal of what I want accomplished for me. Let's start small and build up. That's the key. When they build up to it and then measure it, meaning, hey, for one of me, feed a good breakfast for you every morning, 5 days a week. Do I hit that every week? No. Am I beating myself up about it? No. Am I doing it most mornings? Yes. And there's the key. I'm doing it most mornings. So therefore, there's a success rate. It's like baseball,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I want to bat 1,000. Well, that's a little unrealistic, right? You're not going to do it. I mean, if someone bats 300, meaning 30% of the time they get a hit, they're like amazing and incredible,
Yeah.
right? So give yourself some grace. Realize you're not going to hit it all perfectly, and that's okay. Don't let it discourage you. Focus on the positives, and then recharge yourself to excel still more.
I think that's relates to, like, perception is reality, right? Your
Yes.
perception becomes your reality. And so if you're focusing on your failures and having those types of belief thoughts going through your head, negative thoughts versus positive thoughts about, how you're moving along moving forward in your growth around your business, your relationships, whatever it is. So, I know I've heard you talk about beliefs determine outcomes, right?
Yes.
And it's the way that you communicate with yourself that really reinforces those beliefs. Is that, am I here? Am I
Yes.
understanding that right?
Yes. And so the average person has over 50,000 thoughts a day run through the brain. Of those thoughts, about 70% are negative. Of all those thoughts, 65 to 70% are repetitive, meaning the same thought over and over again. And so that's why it's so vitally important that what you think about, there's an old adage that says, as a man thinketh, so is he, right? And it's true about it. Think about it today. You've met people that they think a certain way, and that's how they are, because they believe that's who they are. But you've also seen people come out of that, right? Whether it's in a bad situation as a child and they've been able to have success regardless of that, because they didn't believe that's who they were. And so your self-limiting beliefs is what I call them, self-limiting beliefs. You've got to eliminate those and focus on good things, truth. Tell yourself the truth. That's why it's a life of thanksgiving. Focus on the good things, and you'll start feeling better about yourself. You start feeling better about your life. Like all of a sudden this weight is lifted off of you, because you have this drudge of negativity as well as expectations of others that you should be doing that you're not doing. It's not about that. It's about, let's be thankful for who we are, first and foremost. Thankful for the life we are. Listen, the truth is, we live in America. We're blessed beyond just the fact we live in America.
Yep.
We have a saying around our house is sometimes it's like, hey, that's a first world problem. It's definitely not a third world problem, which we could easily have. And so that self-limiting beliefs are what you focus on grows and expands. So don't focus on the negative because it will inhibit you. It's like you're trying to run a race with concrete shoes. You're just not going to do it unless you break those things through. So our belief determines our perception, because even the FBI can have 5 people who saw the same exact thing. All of them tell the story differently, because it's not, they don't see it and then believe it. What their beliefs dictate what they actually saw or what they perceive to see. And so our perception is all about what we believe. If we believe we're good enough, we have what it takes, then you'll believe it. And then you'll start seeing opportunities where you can do it. That's why it's so important to, Ziglar, I'm a big fan of Zig Ziglar. He had this positive affirmation sheet that he would read to himself. I mean, he's an icon of our day. He was leading millions, and it was like, he had to do this for himself? Yes. Every morning he read this thing to himself. It's called Positive Affirmations of who he was, what the truths were about himself, because he knew those negative thoughts are going to try to come in, and he's got to combat that with positivity, because that's who we want to be. Because you will see a more confident person. You'll see a more competent person, not just confidence, but competent. And you'll be able to accomplish more and do more than you ever thought possible, because thoughts lead our life.
That is for sure. And so how can people maybe put together something that helps them lead their thoughts to that, I know like companies have a vision statement or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that a personal vision statement is something that people should do? And
Absolutely.
how would they go about doing that?
What's interesting is I've taken clients and people and friends through this, is you need a vision statement for your life and who you personally are. Okay. Especially if you struggle with self-worth, believing you got what it takes, or believing that you can take your company to the next level, whatever those aspects or whatever those things are, those roadblocks you have. And people struggle believing things about themselves. So I did this activity literally last week with my company. I have a company-wide meeting every week. And I nicknamed it the Love Fest. It's a little weird and awkward, and it feels awkward, right? And so what I did was we set the entire company around a table, actually in my big conference room. I said, what we're going to do today is we're going to take as much time as we need to, but we're going to go around and everybody's going to talk about Coy. You're going to take 30 seconds and say where you've seen him grow, where you've seen him improve, where he's encouraged you, where you admire him, anything positive that you can think of or say. You're going to tell Coy that today. Every single person went around and told Coy that. The next one, Rodney, same thing. And we went to the entire company. There were tears shed. I mean, literal tears shed of joy. Like, this is the weird, and everyone said this is the weirdest thing ever for the receiving part of it, to hear all this. But what I want to challenge everybody to do is, we don't hear it enough. And that helps your belief system to hear those positivities. So when I say this, the vision statement or the positive affirmations, it's literally looking yourself in the mirror and says, okay, if I was only going to talk about the good, only the positives, what would it be about me? I'm going to, as dorky as I feel about this, as weird as this feels, as arrogant as this feels, I'm going to make notes about every positive thing I can think of about me. I'm going to write them all down. And then I'm going to get with some of my best friends, significant others, and say, hey, do me a favor. I need you to tell me everything that you would believe that's good and positive about me. And have them do that. And that's where you start to build that vision or that affirmation list of who you are, what your strengths are. And then read that thing every day. every day. So you start believing it, because the truth is others see it in you. It's there. We just lack the belief to truly grasp it and do it. And I'm telling you, that one thing will break through so many aspects of your belief system, and you'll be able to accomplish more, do more, care more, share more, and it will transform your life. I'm telling you.
That's amazing. And I love the stuff that you do. I mean, and this is why you run such a successful company, is that you do things on a kind of on a different level than most business owners, I think. A lot of times, most business owners are just, hey, my employees come in, they clock in, they go home. I don't care about what their personal lives are. Hey, show up for work, be on time, do your job, and I'll pay you, well, maybe. You're right. Like that's kind of the
that's
thought
the
process.
methodology. I started that way.
Yeah. And there's so much more that you can do to encourage your team and to build a company culture. In the first episode that go back, for people that haven't listened, go back to episode 1 and listen to Adam, and the culture that he put within his team for generating reviews for the company is just amazing. And so I love the way that you think about your team so much and helping them grow. And that may be kind of to the point of what you had said earlier, is teaching it, right? So that may help you grow by teaching them how to grow also. But that's awesome, man. So what kind of things do you do in your business and your team to along with Love Fest to build on those things and help them? I heard you talking about, like, you had mentioned the plank challenge with one of your employees and things like that. What are some other ideas that business owners can do to build that growth in their team?
Here's a big one. All right. The word meetings, everybody hates it, right? The thought of meetings, it's not exciting. No one gets excited and jumps around. Let's go to a meeting. Okay. So our company-wide get-togethers, we start off with I always start off with some really exciting music, get the blood flowing a little bit. And then I cut that off, and then I start with a quote, some positive quote for the week. But then this, I think this is key. And everybody who's ever come to one of my company get-togethers, which I have every week, they say, I've never seen this before. And it is, I do shout outs and wins. So the shout outs are, you give a specific shout out to another team member, how they've helped you, encouraged you, really stepped up in some way this week for you. So it's called shout outs. And after that, then we do wins. What are some wins? Personal wins. Doesn't have to be business, just personal wins, business wins, any kind of win. If you felt like it was a win, everybody needs to hear it. The positivity in the room just explodes. It's infectious. Everybody loves to be a part of it. And that's company-wide. This is sales, operations, admin, company-wide. Everybody's doing this. That is a practical thing. It's not a difficult thing, but it's a practical thing you can do for every one of your company get-togethers, meetings, whatever those are, to start off that way. It changes the dynamic of the whole meeting that you're having.
Definitely. I could see how that would really set the tone, right? And then, because a lot of times when everyone's getting together, it's like they're feeling like they're facing issues, right? So that it's like, hey, you didn't get me this, or I didn't get that from you, and this job is running late because of that, and where's my material order, and all of
it's
these
a gripe session,
right? and then it's that negativity, right? And that's kind of the theme of this is it's those negative thoughts, and that will infect everything that's going on in the business. So going through, I love that idea, going through and having that team get together, starting off with positivity, right? Starting the meetings off with positivity. That's great advice.
We start with positive, and we deal with negative things too, things that go wrong and challenges have. But when you start with positivity, it's a whole different feel the rest of the time. And we're never bashing, one person or the other. It's like a challenge happens. I'm a big believer in this. And I think another aspect that you can do in your business, praise in public, criticize in private.
Mm-hmm.
This is huge for the culture of your company. Praise in public, criticize in private. Right? So we never criticize any individual person ever in the company meeting or the company get together, ever. If a challenge happens that week, we address it with that person. Then we think, okay, if this person has it, maybe others are experiencing it or challenging it. And we bring it up. Hey guys, here's an example. Team, here's an example of areas we need to improve or get better on. And X, Y, and Z. We can help you, and we help them understand why it's important, help you understand the benefit behind it, how it helps you. Because ultimately, everything we do is a win-win. Win for whether it's the person doing the role or the salesperson, which is a win for the admin to fulfill it on the backside of the operational side. It's helping them understand how it's a win-win. And so it doesn't come across so negative. So they get the why behind it. So now they're motivated to want to do it. And what's interesting is you have a lot less issues you have to deal with and address.
Yeah, for sure. One of the things that I've hated in any company that I've seen, my wife's company has sometimes I've noticed this, and different places that I've seen, and they do a team meeting around around what one person did wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and speak to the whole group about it. I was like, why do you guys do that? There is absolutely no reason to bring that. Now there's people going, well, I didn't do that. Why are you talking to me about it? Like, and some people feel like they're being disciplined or critiqued in regards. And that always just blew my mind. And so I love that advice to praise public and criticize privately. Did we miss anything?
Great question.
I think we covered a lot of ground here.
We did cover quite a bit here.
So, being a successful contractor, I want to ask you one thing. I think is the greatest insight that you could share with other roofing contractors to succeed in their roofing business?
I would tell you this. I would tell you two things. One, get involved in your local organizations. Right? You'll meet other great contractors. You'll network with them. You'll learn a ton. The local organizations help a lot with you growth because that's the whole purpose behind them, is to help the contractor grow. And so get involved in your local organizations. And two, I want to offer this challenge to everyone. And I equate to sports. In sports, when you start off, like football's going on right now. So that's a great one to start with. When you start Pee Wee football, you got one coach and he's kind of just walking you through and trying to figure things out. And as you progress, then you get up to junior high, you might have two coaches, and you get to high school. Well, now you might have 3 or 4 coaches. Get to college, boy, you got like 6 coaches. You go pro, you got like 10 to 12 coaches. Like, wait a second, I'm getting better and better, but yet I need more and more coaching. What? That doesn't make any sense. It absolutely does. And we totally recognize that as, well, of course, the better you get, the more coaching you need to really fine tune to take it to the next level. Right? But yet we don't feel that way in business. I'm a grown man. I'm an adult. I don't need coaching. That is so far from the truth. We can't see the forest for the trees most of the times. Right? And so I want to encourage everyone, everybody needs a coach. Everyone needs mentors. Everyone needs a mastermind group. Everyone needs others helping them grow, seeing aspects in their business and their life that they don't see, whatever that looks like, right? Get yourself a coach. Get involved in the local organizations. That's going to help you grow. That's going to help take you to the next level. That's the biggest. I bring a coach in every 2 years in my business. That's what I do, because I don't know what I don't know.
Yep. But you're successful, Adam. Why do you need that? Isn't it amazing how we think that way? And I love that analogy, and the specialized coaching that happens on that higher level, right? You can really dig into any weakness that you're facing, right? That's awesome, man. Thanks for joining us. How can people get a hold of you?
You can reach out to me at Adam at todayschangeagent.com, or just go to todayschangeagent.com. There's another easy way. It's probably the simplest way.
Awesome. And check out the new book, Success Habits of Super Achievers. Best-selling book on Amazon, man. Congratulations. That's That's a great
Thank you.
achievement, and love having you on. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. If you would like to generate more sales through your digital marketing efforts, please visit roofermarketers.com and get a copy of the book, Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors, How to Triple Your Sales and Turn Your Roofing Website into an Online Lead Generation Machine. Also, check the training section of the website for guides on everything from running effective pay-per-click ads to how to properly set up your Google My Business listing. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. Thanks for listening.